Hey, team players, and welcome back. It's playoff time. Hope you guys all had a Merry Christmas, all that fun stuff. Obviously, you didn't see Bob and I during that week, but here we are, go time in this amazing thing we call the playoffs. What we're going to do in today's episode is break down what we believe the best strategies and starting points are for your playoff best ball leagues. We know that people love fantasy football, they want to keep the party going. We believe best ball is the best way to do this and be able to touch all of you. The two predominant sites that we use are Underdog and DraftKings. That's what we're going to talk about today, building the best team, giving yourself the best chance for success, both in terms of strategies and individual people. So that's really what we're going to take off today's show with, Bob. So which platform would you want to start with, Underdog or DraftKings?
First off, the way you started that show was very interesting. You want to touch everybody. I mean, I'm just saying it is the holiday.
Yeah, it is what it is. Well, people feel happy and beloved, man.
Before we start there, I want to just give a shout out to KJ here. We appreciate you, KJ, and we appreciate everybody. We appreciate everybody who comes on the show. We know you have a lot of choices of who to visit, and we do appreciate everybody who comes in and sits around with us and talks with us and leaves us questions and comments. It really does bring us a lot of joy to be able to talk to all of you. And KJ, in reference to your question, there was never a doubt Big Boy Purdy was going to show up and play with something on the line. And the fact that you came down from 53 down to only be 6 points down says a lot, because, you know, we weren't touting Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey in the offseason because of their draft values were a little bit too high for where we wanted to be at. But they did come out to be, you know, good waiver. Brock Purdy came out to be on some people's waiver wires with all the injuries that happened earlier in the season. And I really do think you have a legitimate shot here. I think that Drake London legitimately has a shot to get at least
it's Bob's boy.
5 receptions and 20 yards at least. Just the way that Kirk Cousins has been slinging it. And this game actually does matter for Atlanta, because if Atlanta does win this and wins the next one.
No, Atlanta's eliminated. Atlanta can't do it.
No. I'm saying they are eliminated, but it does make a role into who gets in the playoffs for Carolina and Tampa Bay. So
yeah, but I don't know if they care about that
most. I mean, whoever they hold a grudge against the most. Definitely
Tampa. Tampa's won that division the whole time.
Jason, I'm glad to hear, man. Won first place and 2 second places in my 3 leagues. What a year. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
And, you know, we did answer some questions over the break too. And, you know, I was talking with Joe because we couldn't go live. It was just, you know, crazy. So I was grabbing my pants because Alan, he brought me back to win it by 1 point.
Nice.
Champion now. Love it, Steve. My question is, I'm up by 1 point with Pitts left to play. Should I bench? Because if he fumbles, Steve, that's the thing about
this. If you already won, take the win. If nothing can change, take the win.
Yeah, if he doesn't have anybody going and your league, and who cares what your league mates are going to say? Because there's been plenty of chatter about, you know, what happens if you bench a guy and you're slayed with. You've already won by 1 point. Now, you could get a stat correction, and there's always a chance at that.
Which only matters in IDP.
And there's always a chance that will happen. But if you don't see it as being a probability within your lineup, I would bench him. There's a chance that he fumbles. I don't think he does.
But also realistically, he's got to catch the ball first, the fumble. And if in a full PPR, that only puts you at a tie.
Yeah, he does have to catch the ball to fumble. So
by definition, you'd only lose 1 point.
That's a very valid
And you'd also get yardage on the play. Maybe you just play him anyway and don't cause the drama. I see both sides.
I see both sides of the coin. I could go either way. For me, it's you know, it's all what it is. I'm sick of fantasy football. Tron says here, I went all in on my Saints stack of Shuck, Olave, and Juwan, and they put up over 65. I was up going into the night with CMC versus my opponent having Brock Purdy. Tron, I feel this with the core of my soul. I was in my in my
love
matchup
the stack, by the way.
I was in my matchup this week, and I had a pretty comfortable lead. And then you know, the God Purdy came out. CMC, and he also had Luther Burden. I need to accumulate 40 points from Stafford. It ain't going to happen. But it was a good season nonetheless, coming back from all kinds of craziness. And Purdy did steal those 2 rushing touchdowns from CMC. Tron, you feel how I feel about Aaron Rodgers, man. So I feel that in my core, and I'm glad to have somebody who I can share that connection with in some way. But we're here also as we answer all the questions that are coming in. We're going to be talking about playoff best ball here, and we're just going to talk about a little bit of our strategies going into it. And again, there's a lot of different ways to approach this, Joe. But I think I want to look at Underdog first because Underdog has slightly different.
Yeah, so let's first
in DraftKings.
So let's do it like this. Let's do the structure and how obviously the fundamental difference between Underdog and DraftKings is this. Underdog is 2 roster spots smaller because they don't require you to play a tight end and they're half PPR. Underdog, the opposite. So other than that, there's not really a whole bunch of difference. What I really wanted to dive into was this notion. There's 2 notions I wanted to get into. And this is a broader best ball conversation. And it's about something that we get so much feedback on, which is exposure rates.
Yeah.
And this is a major difference between the 2 sites. So, for instance, on Underdog, there will be multiple teams, and the Best Ball Mania shows this very well, that can make it out of the week 16 and week 15 pods. And DraftKings is just the top of that pod. And I bring this up under the notion of exposure very explicitly because in the DraftKings world, essentially, you need to have the unicorn each week. So therefore, you need to have a much broader exposure to have a bigger net at the unicorns. But because Underdog allows multiple people through out of your pod, you can have tighter exposure rates and really go all in on your guys. Well, so I wanted to just bring that up because exposure rate is something we'll talk about from now until next August.
Yeah, but
I just wanted to start with that nuance.
I also want to add into that, Joe, that as we create content, there's content creators out there also talking about very similar things, and we're all absorbing similar information. But I think the 2 things that stand out the most to me about playoff best ball before we get into our favorite stacks and then before we get into a draft itself, the things that stand out to me is number 1 is that pod luck makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
And you see this all the time is that if you made it to the Best Ball Mania finals or if you made it to any of the Underdog or DraftKings semifinals or final rounds, you would notice this, that there were pods that you might have been in that had no Kyle Pitts. They had no Puka, or they only had 1 or 2 Pukas, but then you got ripped by Chris Olave and Zach Charbonnet this week. Now, there's a lot to talk about the advance rate of certain players, and there's a lot to talk about your exposure rate. But the one thing that I want to touch on here with that comment is that your exposure rate does matter, but also to the fact that there is a chance that your pod luck really makes a difference. So let's say, for example, you end up getting through a team that is Jalen Hurts and Bo Nix, and that ends up being the Super Bowl matchup, and you make it through. But you could also draft another team that is Bo Nix and Jalen Hurts and not make it through the pod. And so there's a lot to be said about what players you're utilizing and how you're approaching and getting those players versus the rest of the pod and what's going on. Because there's a chance, and we talked about this last year with guys like Ladd McConkey, where Ladd McConkey ended up being a guy that you needed to get out of the first round in a lot of circumstances, but he wasn't available to you in the second round because he was eliminated, right? And so when you look at it and you look at the players that you needed last year, all of those players ended up being eliminated. And we had a lot of Jalen Hurts teams, but he didn't make it because his performances were so poor in the rounds leading up to it. So you have to have a nice combination of players. And that's why when it comes to the second point here, you also love it, Mick, love it. And we're here for you for that. And
guys, there's nothing like your comments to bob off a strain of thought.
When we look at what's the most important, there are 2 things to consider here. 1, you do want to advance out of the wild card round. That's absolutely true.
Obviously.
But you want to have 5 players alive in the Super Bowl at minimum. And I believe one of the content creators, I think it's Pat Coran, wrote an article about this. I might be mistaken. But when you look at it and you think about the odds in your favor, if you have 5 live guys in the Super Bowl. And this happened to us last year as well.
You basically win.
With the Super Bowl matchup, it depends on the 5 players that you have. But one of the most important things is that you need to have the quarterback available to you.
Oh, yeah.
You need to have the quarterback, and ideally, you want to have the quarterback and the running back. So when it comes down to stacking these teams, it is very possible for you to go and have the quarterback and running back from one team and the pass catchers from another team and have a very live Super Bowl lineup. And the odds that you make it with 5 complete players is one of the best things that you can look at. Mick here said using the Sidekick, which is an amazing tool. We don't use it here, but it is an amazing tool. I have seen others with a lot of success using it. It's pretty great. They like the Packers a lot.
That is a great tool, by the way.
But Joe,
to
this point, though, is that when you look at the sims and say you sim 100 matchups or say you sim 1,000 matchups, even sims are going to have favoritism within the sim itself because the numbers are going to show out in different ways. So what I want to get across is that if say you built like a Jordan Love stack, right? And you have Josh Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, you have a bunch of stacks like that. And that ends up making it to the Super Bowl and you have 5 of those players, then you don't really necessarily need to stack the AFC side. But there is a pathway you can take where you can make a Mondo stack, right? But you also can take pathways where you're taking 2 to 3 teams. You don't really want to play with 4 teams, but 2 to 3 teams maximum to get you a wide range of a chance to advance out of a pod. Because maybe Nico's the guy that you need and CJ's not, right? Or maybe you need to combine Jalen with, let's say, Ken Gainwell on the other side or Derrick Henry on the other side if the Ravens are allowed to advance. So there's a lot of different viewpoints on how to do it, right? And the Sims do a lot of 5 to 1 team plus maybe 2 on the opposite conference. Yeah, I've seen it.
So one of the things I want to point out here with that thought process, we'll dive into your comments here. Guys, congratulations all the way. We know so many of you guys dominated.
Congrats, Quincy. Congrats.
But to the point of you need to have someone who's in a quarterback in each round, obviously. Mm-hmm. If you look at the quarterbacks that are going to be in this specific group of 16, but call it the 14 that will make it, there's only one that is tangibly above the others. So you don't need to come into your stack saying, I should overpay on a quarterback. More so than any other year, because they're all similar, unless you're explicitly having to focus upon one team, I believe your strategy is get the best players, get through wild card weekend through the first 5 rounds of your draft, and then worry about your stack.
Well, so this is what I like, Joe. And it goes back to the comment that Mick made about the Packers, right? Is that the Packers right now, and to a certain extent 3 weeks ago, this was the Jaguars as well, is that those 2 stacks, the Jags and the Bills, or not Jags and Bills, the Jags and the Packers are so cheap right now that it plays into the point that you're making. Is that
Green Bay is going to destroy Chicago? Chicago can maintain the 2 seeds.
Let's say you go out and you were to buy Josh Allen. The problem with Josh Allen is you can't get James Cook. You can't get Saquon Barkley unless he falls to 6. So you are unable to stack any important person with Josh Allen. So in a way, and this happens in drafts sometimes when you're drafting, is that you are planning a certain stack, but then you get sniped. So you have to start building another possible Super Bowl matchup. And Josh Allen is one of those players that I absolutely do not mind having him, and not necessarily full fading him, but having him and saying, well, I'm not going to build out a mega build stack, or having James Cook, for example. I know I'm not going to get Josh Allen, so I'm going to build up a potential matchup, and I'm going to advance Cook as far as Cook or as far as Allen goes, and I'm going to play on that NFC side a little bit. So I'm going to play the Packers. So I might play either Josh Allen or Cook and then build in a late Packers, or I might play Cook and knowing that I can't get Christian McCaffrey and thinking that maybe San Francisco makes it to the Super Bowl. If I have Cook and I can build out the rest of that, I'm going to be pretty good. So taking those one-off guys, and even Puka to an example is this too, where Puka's drafted 1 of 1, and there are times that Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams will make it back to you, and there are times that they won't. But the honest opinion that I have is that if you stack Puka with, let's say Drake May, you still have a potential Super Bowl matchup there. Right.
Yeah, that's true. So that's one of the other things to recognize is that it doesn't have to be the same team to be able to get there. And the other thing, and we're about to start one up here, guys, that we're going to start the first one here on DraftKings. We're going to do the DraftKings $5 max 5 entry one. And the one thing I want to also say here is, in general, based upon these teams in the playoffs, we're in a weird spot here, because there's more quality running backs than receivers, and you do not normally get that. And that's one of the things that are real here. So, guys, we're going to fire this one up here at 4:08 Eastern.
Before we do that, I just want to talk to Nino here for a minute, and then I want to comment on what you just said about receivers and stuff. So, Nino, you have Puka, Kyron, Corum in the lineup right now, but was thinking, is it smart to go with both Rams running back or go Mooney and Corum? I think it's smart to go both Rams running backs because both have been running on all cylinders. Now, Kyron might only get 12 points, but if he gets 12 points, Corum is likely to perform pretty well too. I don't think Mooney tips the scale over Corum in any regard for me. And I think that you stick with what you got and you stay there. Puka has a really good chance to get you 30. So, I mean, there is that to think about there. But also, to the comment,
you're ready.
Are we on the mitten?
No, we're going to do the one on DraftKings. It's the $5 the $5 best ball 250 or 50K nickel.
All right.
5 entry max.
And so what I wanted to say to the point that you were to the point that you were making, Joe, about let me do this, about players that advanced pieces and things like that and wide receivers, is I want to have as many wide receivers as possible because of the dearth in running backs. Is that you want to get into that notion, like, unless it's Puka. And here's another thing to think about too, right? Is that if the Rams make it to the Super Bowl and you don't have Puka, for example, if you have Puka and he's probably going to be the best player in that, if it's a Rams Super Bowl, he's probably going to be the best player in the Super Bowl. Because the AFC side can't really stop wide receivers very well. So when I look at it and I say, is that, do I really want to build a Matt Stafford stack if I don't have Puka?
Bob, are you in?
You know what I'm saying, Joe?
Yeah, are you in?
I am in one. I'm not in the one that you're in. Mine must have.
Oh, well, you messed up then.
Exactly. So I
Here's
got
the link to the one we're in that will be on TV, guys.
I gotta say, like, it's one of those things to really get you thinking about how you can advance certain players, because I want to make sure I have a live Super Bowl with at least 5. If you have more in the tank and that tank is full of wide receivers and tight ends, by all means do it, right? But I think you have to be aware of that moving forward, I mean, if the Ravens make it to the Super Bowl, it does make sense that the NFC winner does have the best chance to win the Super Bowl. I would argue, though, that I really like Houston's defense. And I think that could shoot them into a different stratosphere, because they have beaten 4 teams, maybe 5 that are in the playoffs currently. So I think that it's really important to keep your head on a swivel about Houston. And they're another one of those cheap ones. You might not be able to get Nico, but you can definitely get a lot of other pieces. Jesse, second year playing fantasy, won the ship. Nice job, Jesse. I remember it got a little bit hairy in the middle of the season there. We had a lot of talk about TreVeyon Henderson. And I know you got a lot we had a lot of different ways of viewing different teams. So I'm glad that you won there. I'm glad to hear that we are winning championships. This is important. Samuel,
what we do, guys. And
one seed and lost third place game by 0.42. Samuel, it happens. We've been there. It sucks. In my mind, I'd rather lose by 30 than lose by 0.42. That's like such a bad beat.
So guys, I got 1-1. I'll be taking Puka. I'm just letting you guys know that right now.
Champ is here, baby. Going for the second one tonight. And Michael, we'll talk about Joe's book in a minute. After we do the draft. Stick around.
Let's go get the wins, guys.
If the Ravens make the playoffs by beating Pittsburgh, I think all the teams but the Panthers and Bucks have a shot to make the Super Bowl. So I'm drafting every team in that.
I'm not sure the Ravens actually do. I don't get me wrong. I do believe that the Ravens, as I'm looking out my window here at Pittsburgh, the weather is horrible. Our quarterback can't throw the ball, and our best receiver punched someone in the face in Detroit. So the Steelers have no chance of exploiting the bad secondary of the Ravens. However, I think that any of those teams can throw right through Baltimore. And
I'll be definitely make. And like I said, I've done mittens. I've done these on DraftKings, and I basically have a lot of exposure to a lot of different players. And I absolutely think that it's very important to make sure that you don't want to quit your exposures. Just because you took Trevor Lawrence in 5 doesn't mean you should stop taking him. Just because you took him in 5, because like we said at the top of the show, pod luck really does make a difference. And there's a chance that out of your 5 Trevor Lawrence teams, you might get 4 of them might get knocked out, and that one you'll need will be the one that you end up needing in the end. All right. So family, 6-6 made the playoffs, 1 lost week 1, 2 lost week 2, and 2 lost week 3. Only 1 win has to become back-to-back champ. Family, we can't win them all, but winning that one is nice. Unfortunately, the big money. I hate it when my team shows up like all season, and then when it comes to the playoffs, you get a bad beat, you get a bad matchup, and the score doesn't go in your favor. Joe, the room that I'm in right now is a little wild.
I can't share the room you're in because you went in the wrong damn room, Bob.
We got Puka, CMC, Allen, JSN, Drake May, Cook. I took Cook and Barkley at the 6th pick. So
you can see here on mine, I got myself an interesting possibility coming down here at the end here. I think Kittle's a horrible first-round pick with his injury and all.
Nice, man.
But I got Puka at 1, and I might be getting some love here on the turn.
So
I'm going to get 2 out of the 3 out of Stafford, Collins, and Henderson.
One of my favorite things to do in these playoff best balls, and Mick and anybody who's doing it right now can let me know what your favorite is I do like a Travis Etienne, and I do like building a lot of those Jags with a couple of the NFC options here. There are people that will roll out Christian McCaffrey, and they'll try to build a San Francisco Jags stack. Right now, I've kind of walked myself into a Buffalo Philly stack, but I don't have AJ Brown. AJ Brown went off the board in mine, so we're gonna hope we get Jalen Hurts here, the guy who took 2 quarterbacks. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. So Bob, one of the things that as I said before, I didn't really get your feedback on it. I really believe that the answer is for your first 5 rounds, best available. Get yourself best available, and then go from there and stacking on the back end.
Yeah, I have Cook and Barkley.
That type of strategy.
Yeah, no, I have Cook and Barkley, and this opens me up. Like, he just took Jalen Hurts. He has Jalen Hurts, Devontae Adams-Smith. So I'm not going to go Eagles anymore, but I can build an AFC with the Eagles if I want to. I'm leaving my door open, because my James Cook leaves me open to some NFC play with the Bears. I'm going to be building a late Bears stack, even though I don't fully believe that the Bears are going to make it. I am going to build a late Bears in there to get some action. And actually, what I'm going to do right here. So what I just did, Joe, and you obviously can't see it, we got Cook and Barkley in the first 2 rounds. But I just took, because Bo Nix and Jalen Hurts just went off the board before my picks. So I went and I took Purdy and Jennings to give myself another option at the Super Bowl if it's San Francisco, Buffalo. So, leaves me open. I don't have CMC, but I do have Cook. So that leaves me open to a potentially a good get there. Derrick Henry scared me, but Drake May came through. Boy, Drake May had a great game. 5 touchdowns. It's amazing to think that over the last 2 weeks, we've had some amazing touchdown performances from Stafford, Purdy, Drake May, and Trevor Lawrence. I love to see it. Love to see it. Dynasty moving forward to you like T-Law or Lamar? I think T-Law finally clicked. Family, I think that the coaching of Liam Cohen really made a difference, and also the fact that it shows what kind of wide receiver Jacoby Myers really is. I know Jacoby Myers was the topic of conversation a lot on our show this past year, and there were times where we might have given up on him, and there were times that we said bye. But I do think that T-Law with Liam Cohen is worth it, and I would really look hard in investing in T-Law for the future. I'm not saying that I wouldn't de-invest in Lamar, but I am excited to think that what Trevor Lawrence has in store. So I'm not writing it off. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that was crippling.
We're going to do this because we want to. We do need that. So I'm just earmarking a couple players here, Joe, and then I'll get back into the questions here. So it's good. It's the Wild West over here on this board. The question is, do I go there? All right. I think we should do this. This. All right. So we're live. We're still good.
We are live. Bob, I could break down my team right now because I kind of got boxed out of where I wanted to go.
So, Joe, I just want to say we had a question that came in on the posts over the week about tight ends Tongas and shout out to San Francisco and Brock Purdy, and knowing that whatever tight end is going to be there is going to see a good role. So,
which is why I think this matters really only on DraftKings, but I think Hunter Henry is really the only tight end that's safe.
Mm-hmm. And I really do like Mick. I do like the Bears. I was thinking about building a Bears with this, but my third team that it's technically a fourth team because Barkley's going to be a one-off here. But I took Omarion and Ladd, and I'm going to build a back end Chargers, San Francisco Super Bowl, and just treating Cook as a one-off, treating Barkley as a one-off, and advanced pieces, and seeing what I can build out from here because I got stonewalled on a couple of the other ones, and like I said, I want to have 5 players live for the Super Bowl. So you want to pivot in my mind. You do want to pivot when pivoting makes a difference. I don't want to buy players that I don't think are going to that I think are going to underperform. So I'm going to be taking Herbie on the back end of this. Didn't get Pearsall. That's fine. There goes DJ Moore and Swift. There goes Ken Walker. It's interesting that in DraftKings that Blake Corum does not go where he does in Underdog, Joe.
No, he doesn't.
Which I think is absolutely fascinating. And the other reason too here is that if it ends up being a Chargers San Francisco Super Bowl, I think that legitimately speaking, Omarion Hampton has a really good chance to perform to a really good expectations to mirror a guy like Christian McCaffrey, not perform to the same capacity as him. But if you are expecting a San Francisco Chargers Super Bowl, going after Omarion instead of clicking McCaffrey early and taking an advanced rate piece might be worth it. Could be worth it. Family, I traded Hurts for T-Law 1 and 2 at the deadline, looking better every week. I would agree with that, family. I don't trust Hurts right now. I don't think that next year when it comes to the big boards, Best Ball Mania and things like that I will be drafting Hurts at his current value. I think
there's really Allen's going to be the only big dog worth getting.
But as we said in the offseason, right, when we were drafting all of our best ball teams, and I said that we did a couple of shows that related to taking quarterbacks early and the value of taking a quarterback early. And then we did shows that showed the value of taking a quarterback late. And this year was definitely a year where the Dax, the Drake Mays, the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Herberts, and the Caleb Williamses all paid off for you. But unfortunately, those teams were also combined with the Bucky Irvings and the Malik Neighbors and the Justin Jeffersons that didn't perform to expectations. So it's something to definitely be aware of moving forward here. This room is a Wild West, Joe.
Gotta love some Wild West, man.
Maybe I take the sneaky Baltimore as an advanced piece here. A back end Baltimore, no. Mike Evans. If the Tampa Bay gets in, Mike Evans is going to be an interesting piece.
There's no doubt about that.
Let's be serious here. And Dawson Knox outperforming Dalton Kincaid when that happens, maybe.
I got Henry and Schultz in my tight end position. I'm very happy with that.
The
only guy I didn't get that you argue that I should have, I strategically chose not to, was Schultz. Was May. And dude, so I get in 11 and 12, or correction, 10 and 11, my stacking quarterbacks in Stroud and Love. I also went heavy on New England, which is a little bit weird. I get that most people want to do that.
No, I like going heavy New England. I do, but they might get that.
Roster right now. I'm going to read it off to you. It's Stroud, Henderson, Puka Collins, Hunter Henry, Diggs, Woody Marks, Watson.
Hold on. Before you get there, let me finish mine. We'll show both, and we'll compare.
How are you not done yet?
And we'll compare pods. I'm not done yet, man. I got 2 picks left.
We're coming down the last stretch, and I'm going to have a toss-up between Reed and Dobbs for my last pick.
This is a weird one. I don't know if I like this one.
So we're going to put that as a little poll question for you guys all right now. Reed or Dobbs? Who would you prefer? Because
I like Dobbs. I like both. If you're building Packers, I think you got to take both, but that's just a personal opinion.
Oh, I got Watson. I'm not taking 3 Packers receivers.
Well, I think it's beneficial. I do. My question is, which one of these do I take? Because you don't know who is going to show up at the Super Bowl. It could be some total random play, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And you're not like, do I think the Chargers
are answering the poll question?
Like, do I think the Chargers are going to advance?
The answer anyway. Reed went.
Do I personally think the Chargers are going to advance to the Super Bowl? No, I don't think they have a strong defense or a strong offense with the 2 injuries on the outside there. But you build into the narrative because you're taking so many teams. You're building into the narrative, right? And so
you are. And the other part about this is that when you look at the playoffs overall, right? Because there's not a juggernaut team, except for maybe the Rams, which I still believe are a juggernaut team, even though they're going to be the 5 seed. I don't think that there's any also guaranteed, like, they're out teams either. I think the Chargers will probably have the biggest spread against them.
Mm-hmm.
But the 3 wildcard teams in the AFC all have the same record. I mean, they're not going to finish in the same order that they are right now. So It's so topsy-turvy for me. The only game I'm like 100% certain is that the Rams are going to go into the NFC South and win. Like, that's the only thing I know for sure.
So does Tongas have any long-term dynasty value or forever handcuff at best? I think that there's a chance that, with Kittle's injuries, that they could eventually give the reins of tight end to somebody else. But when he's on the field, he's by far and away one of the best tight ends in the league, if not the best tight end in the league. And so when I look at it, the way that they use him, Tongas does fit a role when he's out. And I think that knowing that I do think that he does have long-term value. Is it something that I need to hold on to? No, I don't necessarily need to hold on to it, but I do think that he does have long-term value. Family, in ESPN, I really drafted quarterback before the 10th. You can literally stream quarterback in a 10-team. Absolutely. And this is what we talked about. If it's not best ball and you're just in a redraft league, there are only 12 quarterbacks in a 12-team league that are potentially going to get taken, right? And so you can wait and wait and wait and wait. Like I said, in my draft this year, I was just talking to Joe before we went on air. I took Purdy and Fields. Now, Fields and Purdy, the injuries started piling up, and that's why I went out and traded for Lamar and ended up picking up Stafford off the waiver wire. So all of these things can happen, right, Joe? And so, like, I think it's when we look at redraft that's a really interesting point, and we've made it before. So, Joe, I just got done. I'm going to read you my team. And you want me to put it up on the screen, or you want me to?
Well, here, Bob, here. Let's do mine first. Mine gives me a complete roster for a Patriots-Packers Super Bowl up front. Oh. And it is the roster being Stroud, Henderson, Puka, Collins, Henry, Diggs, Marks, Watson, Schultz, Stevenson, Love, and Dobbs. I also can make it with a Houston Green Bay Super Bowl. So it's a big poke to try to think you need Green Bay to make the Super Bowl, but if they do, this team's gonna be loving it.
All right, so mine, my stacks here, my Super Bowls here would be San Francisco Chargers or Eagles Chargers.
Right.
And I got Purdy, Cook, Jennings, Ladd, Aronde Gadsden, Barkley. And then we have Omarion, QJ, Herbert, Tongas, Allen, and Vidal. So I went a little bit more heavy on the Charger side of the ball.
You certainly did.
That's what the board was giving me. So
and that's the other part of this, guys. You gotta go with the board.
Will I do that again? Probably not. But having two possible tight ends, if it is the Chargers San Francisco Super Bowl, I think is important. And having two running backs to potentially stack or to potentially match up against CMC is going to be important to have with Omarion and Vidal. Do I think Vidal's the best pick? No, but we've seen crazier things happen.
So this is going to be a DraftKings exclusive thing. Let's talk tight ends here real quick. We can dive into it deeper. So your tight ends off the board, Kittle, Kincaid, Goddard, they're generally going top 4 rounds. Kittle,
I wouldn't.
He can win the thing for you. He also cannot play. Kincaid, same deal. Kincaid can get offered. And all of those guys are all or nothing. But if you look at guys like Schultz and Hunter Henry, they're more steady Eddie. They're consistent. They're in the same lines of Strange. So I look at it go, I don't want to spend on the first 3, but I do want to get Henry, Schultz, or Strange because I think everyone else is useless. And that's a DraftKings because they force the tight end. But that's how I look at it.
On DraftKings,
2 of those 3 is massive.
On DraftKings, I do not want to invest in Kincaid. However, if I'm buying Allen, I think it's an interesting choice. If I'm building, let's say I built like a Matt Stafford team, I do think Kincaid is a slightly better choice potentially than Colby Parkinson. And I think playing the odds there is interesting. So
yeah, but they're not a 5-round better choice.
I just want to bring this up, right? Is that if I am drafting as if I wouldn't, family. I don't know where Brissett lands. If he's the answer for Arizona, I think that it's fair to assume that he could be a great play moving forward.
He won't be, because if he's the answer for Arizona, they'll also draft someone in the first 3 picks.
But I hesitate with Diggs because Diggs is having a good year this year, and there's a potential that he could have a really good year next year. Assuming that everything's.
He has definitely emerged as the guy for Drake May.
But what I wanted to say to that point, though, Joe, that you were making before, is that when we look at how to build a team, right? Is I want to look at Shakir specifically. So if Buffalo makes it to the Super Bowl, and that's
but he only has value in the Super Bowl. My 4th-round pick can't keep me from getting into it. You know what I mean?
But I want to bring it up in terms of roster construction versus defense. And let's say you build out that you're making a Buffalo Eagles Super Bowl, right? And let's say you take Josh Allen and A.J. Brown as your first 2 picks. You're going to have to take Ty Johnson or Ray Davis or Tank Bigsby a little bit later because you're going to want a 5th piece in there at running back.
Sure.
But Shakir is a piece to me that in that matchup is a very poor selection. Is that because the Eagles have played so well against slot wide receivers over the course of the season, Shakir, if the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl and that's the Super Bowl I built, I don't really want that. But let's say it's
not against the Rams either, quite frankly.
Let's say it's Buffalo, Chicago. I do want that. So that plays a role that if there are certain players that I'm buying at expected value or above expected value because the matchup in the Super Bowl that you're building could be very, very interesting. Like Omarion versus San Francisco would be very interesting to me. Harvey versus San Francisco, absolutely interesting. Harvey versus Seattle, not as interesting, right? So it's like you want to take a look at those matchups too, and be aware of how those things are stacking up for you. Do I make it out of this room? Maybe, but it really depends on the buys. There's a guy that took 3 quarterbacks, so there are teams.
I look at mine. I got Puka, Collins, and Henderson. Those could be 3 home runs that could win you any week whatsoever. The combination of the 3.
Absolutely. All right, Joe. Let's rack one up on Underdog here.
All right, we're gonna do Underdog here then. All right, so this is gonna be on the mitten, the $5 mitten. We're gonna fire this one off at 4:33 Eastern at 4:33 Eastern. Click your buttons, boys.
And now the difference between Underdog and DraftKings, like we said earlier, is that there is no tight end slot. You can take a tight end if you want to.
It's also 2 less roster spots.
And it's also important to maximize that wide receiver tight end position and also to maximize your running backs as much as possible. Now, in Underdog, I think it's interesting because of the many pivots that you can have here, that if you're going after a team that has a bye, you definitely need 1 quarterback. But in this, because the roster limits are lower, I try to only take 1 quarterback, and I try to take it out of the playoff, who I think is going to make the Super Bowl, right? Now, I will build 2 quarterback lineups often. I have done it often enough, but I do like to think about that 1 quarterback lineup as well, just because I think it's really interesting to get and to be able to maximize that wide receiver tight end position. But again, there are times that I'll take 2 quarterbacks, and it is what it is. All right. So, Joe, am I confirming? Yes or no?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, we had a location error. Damn it.
I got that too. I got to click refresh.
All right. Hold on. I got to put my location in, I guess. Continue on.
See, Underdog gives this to me. DraftKings doesn't.
Well, it happens to me too. I hate it. All right. Hold on.
It's still trying to confirm me. We're on pause. Sorry, guys.
All right, I'm gonna enter right now. I'm gonna confirm.
No, don't enter because I can't get in with you.
Still gives me the location error. Hold up, let me fix this.
It could be that Pittsburgh is getting stormed like crazy.
I don't know. We're getting like 50-mile-an-hour winds here.
We sure
are. I know Nino always asks about the weather here. The weather sucks today, Nino. It's cold. It's windy. It's awful.
We lost to Cleveland.
Keep getting the location error. Let me refresh my screen here.
All right, Bob, let me know when you're going to click confirm.
All right. It's trying to load my location. I didn't have a problem with this like 20 minutes ago. So,
again,
Donta won the championship 3 years in a row. Winning the in-person drafts make me so happy. We appreciate you joining us this year, Donta. And we'll be doing all year. We'll be doing best ball drafts, things like that. I'm sure they'll be loading up the big board or an early best ball draft very soon after the playoffs start. And we'll be talking about next year already. So that will be really fun. Donta, congrats, man. All right. I'm going to
confirm.
I'm going to try to confirm right now. I don't know if it's been solved or not. So I'm confirming right now. Got the error again.
Yeah. All right. Then we're just going to do another one on DraftKings because we're not dealing with this.
Let's load up one of the $3 ones, Joe.
All right. So for DraftKings, go find it. We'll send you the
yes. So we will try for an Underdog one on Wednesday. So let's do a $3 300K play action. Let's get one of those going.
All right, you guys heard the man. $3 300K play action.
All right.
Let me know when you're going to click it.
I'm clicking right now. Enter.
All right. I am 6 of 6.
Well, you didn't get into mine. I'm 1 of 6, so
well, that means I got in. At any rate, Bob, way to mess that up again.
Again. But for this one, Joe, positioning in the draft is really important too, and being aware of how to build certain teams up is that if you're sitting at the back end of this draft, you are most likely building some Eagles. If you're sitting at the front,
I'm at the 4 spot here, Bob. We're about to fire this up since
if you're sitting at the front, you're more likely to build out a Patriots version of a team. So
that is true. We just saw that live.
I think it's very interesting. I don't know why mine didn't get in there. It's a pain.
Well, I was the 6th person in, which means I clicked like a quarter of a second before you.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting.
Well, just bail out and comment on this one live instead of doing one at the same time.
All right, hold up. Withdraw.
That way you can give the pure insights of where you think I am messing.
I wonder why Underdog keeps doing that to us. I think it's a Pittsburgh thing today.
I think.
All right, so in this 4th spot, Joe, I really think it will be interesting. The Super Bowls to think about from this 4th spot is it is very clear that Seattle, they still have that pathway to the bye.
Oh, yeah.
I think that if you're going to
but if you get the Jigba, you can win.
Jacksonville also has a chance to get the bye as well. But if I'm going to take JSN, I want to build out a comfortable AFC team. So I think that it's interesting that if you go
well, I like going receiver 1-2 because I don't think there's as many stud receivers overall.
That's fair. I think that when we look at the playoff picture right now, and we look at the percentages for
CMC going first.
Yeah.
Completely.
I don't think that's a bad call, but they have a chance to lock up. They have a chance to get into the first round bye. So
yeah, I mean, that they win that. That's what happens. And then Jigba's like the safest and best pick. So then Jigba obviously goes there. I'm kind of in a no man's land. I think I'm going Cook.
I don't hate it. I often do that myself.
I don't want to take Allen. I think I have to make that very clear, guys. I don't think Allen is worth it.
And that's fine. I think Cook is fine.
Unless he comes back to me.
I think
that
Cook
would be
is
a completely
fine.
different story.
Joe, I like Cook because when I think about what he does, he can get 26 carries. Now, Allen can absolutely obliterate a score for Cook as well, but there's a very good chance that you can build out more Super Bowls by taking James Cook than you can by taking Josh Allen.
Yeah, because I think that in the AFC side, there are two.
Like, for example, you can build out
Buffalo,
you can build out a Buffalo Green Bay Super Bowl.
Holy cow, I got Allen.
That never happens. This is shocking.
That never happens.
This is real shocking. I've never seen a team with Cook and Allen. All right, don't screw this up.
Yeah, you guys see how he loves me.
Don't screw this up. Now, I'd be looking at getting some NFC teams right now.
Oh yeah, okay. Now it's got to be best receiver on the board.
You can take best receiver on the board. Absolutely, you can. I also think,
like, if somehow Collins slips to me, that's the easiest click ever, even though he's in the AFC.
I disagree. I don't think that you should do that. But
well, okay, Bob, let's just go through the receivers right now. It's Collins, Sutton, Smith, Diggs, Jennings, Myers.
Collins
is in his own tier.
Yeah, but even after shitting on Kittle, I do think with the way that with the 2 picks you got right now, that a Kittle pick here wouldn't be a terrible pick.
The Kittle injury risk is too real to me.
It is a real thing, but
again, I'd rather go get Hunter Henry.
This is what I was saying earlier. This is what I was saying earlier. Nico and Josh Allen and Cook can't be in the same Super Bowl.
I understand that.
So be careful with that.
I understand that, but I got to get out of the first 2 rounds. And Collins can go off.
I don't think Nico gets you there, but that's fine if that's what you want.
Nico ain't a choice anymore. So,
all right. What I want you to do is go Josh.
I'll do Kittle for you, Bob. I'll do Kittle. I understand it. I'll do a Niners build. I'll go Jennings here on the turn. Coming back to me.
Yeah. And if Jacobs ends up lasting to you, build a Jacobs too.
Buffalo's Jacobs.
No. Green Bay's Jacobs. Build a little bit of Green Bay, or take DeAndre Swift later to have a Chicago-Buffalo Super Bowl or a San Francisco.
Chicago-Buffalo would be crazy high scoring.
San Francisco-Buffalo Super Bowl.
Swift is that he'll get the ball a lot. But Jennings has to be my pick here because I need a receiver.
Well, the Purdy guy will take him if you don't.
Well, and I need a receiver.
Yeah. No. I'm with you on that. I agree with that. So he's building out Mondo Eagles. Let him do what he wants to do there. We're not going to mess with him.
No.
So we got a Seattle. Denver Super Bowl, Seattle, Houston Super Bowl right next to us. We'll allow them to stay in their lane. We won't touch any of those guys.
Yeah, and there's no reason to really.
No, not with your Allen and Cook build. I want to focus on. There is a potential here that if it is San Francisco, taking Shakir in the 6 hole wouldn't be a bad bet.
Oh, Bob, I'm not taking Shakir. I'm not taking Shakir.
I'm saying in a matchup.
I don't think I can get out of the wild card. I don't think you can get out of the wild card with having Shakir in your roster.
I think you can.
I think he's more of a luxury at the end of the day.
I would agree with that to some aspects.
Devontae Smith is somehow still sitting here.
I don't want Devontae
Smith. Him due to negligence.
No. Devontae Smith is not the guy you want. Don't do that at all.
I'm taking Cook and then Jacobs rather.
You're going to take Jacobs here to open up another Super Bowl in case you can't get a couple of beats. But
because you can get
Watson. What I want you to keep your eye on, Joe, late. I want you to take Brandon Cook on this team. Brandon Cook.
Oh, definitely am. I've already got him marked. I'm 100% doing that.
Take him late on there because Josh Allen was using him in that game yesterday.
Yeah, I know. That is definitely what happened, and he already.
Now Josh Jacobs is banged up.
My fear right now is the fact that we got to play 2 receivers, and I only got 1 on this roster.
That's fine though, because you can build out.
I think I'm building out DJ Moore.
You could build out a Chicago too, but you definitely this next pick can be Christian Watson. You don't have to
I'm going to see if I can get Watson in the 7th.
But I do think you need a Buffalo wide receiver, and whether you like Cook or whether you like Palmer, whether you like Shakir, that's fine. I think
Cook's the one I'm going to take because I'm going to dirt cheap.
Shakir's probably going to fall a little bit here because people don't. There's nobody else with that build.
That's my point. Why am I bidding against myself?
Yeah. So who's the next best available? Show me your next best available wide receivers here.
So the overall next best is Kincaid.
I hate that.
Me too. That's why I'm not doing it.
DJ Moore.
I might just take Henry instead, but where I'm probably going to go with Swift.
Yeah, get the running back.
Yeah.
Open up another Super Bowl for you.
Yeah.
Because I do think you can take Pearsall, and there's a bunch of other wide receivers for San Francisco you can take. How many rounds do we have left? 4 or 5?
We have 5 left, I believe. I have a receiver spot open. No, we got a bunch of spots left. This goes to 12, so we got 6 picks.
Okay. What I want you to queue up is DJ Moore and Caleb Williams and Luther Burden. Give you a back end, give you a Chicago Buffalo Super Bowl. And also build up.
It's going to be DJ Moore and Watson are going to be the 2 I've queued up here for this pick.
Yeah. Or you could, but you need to build out more Buffalo guys too. On that opposite side. You might not get DJ Moore here. Okay, you didn't get Caleb. That's fine. You have Josh Allen. Don't worry. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the second quarterback.
Yeah.
We'll throw on a back-end Love or something like that.
You don't have to take DJ Moore here, Joe, because I think Christian Watson's your pick.
I think Watson's my pick too, but I might take DJ Moore in the comeback.
Well, because Luther Burden is still available. And I agree with Michael on that. And in this play, Joe, if you don't want to build
more Parasol than DJ Moore.
Joe, Yeah, I mean, again, if you don't want to build out any more 49ers, I would lean into the Chicago and Green Bay build a little bit more. Notice
Well,
Shakir
let's
is
see what
still
we
here,
got here. We
guys.
got the running backs of Green Bay, Chicago. I just hate Chicago's passing game.
I love it. There's nothing to hate about it.
All right, only because of his value.
I love Luther Burden there. So he is hurt from last night. We'll see. So walk me through what we got so far. Let me walking out some of the Super Bowls here. Like I said, Shakir is still on the board. Kincaid's still on the board.
That's so right now we have one tight end. It's Kittle, and we have one quarterback. It's Allen.
So here's the thing: if I want, there goes Luther Burden. If I want Joe to build out a Chicago Buffalo Super Bowl, decide what tight end you want. I think Kincaid is important on this team. Well, you can't get him.
Well, Kincaid just went. He was rated as the top player here for like 6 rounds.
Joe, Dawson Knox.
I don't think I want a Buffalo tight end.
Then you got to take.
Kincaid is the one I would have taken had he come around here.
So there goes.
But I'd rather take Schultz.
No, don't take Schultz. He will not help.
I'm not getting in Super Bowl lock-in mode.
You need to. You have too many. You have too many moving pieces right now. There goes Shakir. That's fine. We don't want him anyway.
Is Rome Odunze going to be playing?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Because Rome, I think, is the one I want.
I think Dobbs is the one you want.
I've got to take him too.
That's fine.
What I hate is the fact is that I only have one tight end.
Yeah, what I'm saying to you though, Joe, is that you need to either take the Buffalo backup tight end, which is Knox, or Colston Loveland, or Luke Musgrave, because ideally you want to take the Buffalo one because you're expecting Buffalo to make it to the Super Bowl with this lineup. That's what the expectation is.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough 49ers to field a full lineup. So Kittle is just an advanced piece if he plays. So
no, I got Jennings.
Yeah, but you need more of the 49ers, or you need more of Chicago, or you need more of Green Bay. That's what you need more of.
Yeah, I think really at the end of the day that we're going to build it that with 3 picks left, we're going to let it come to me. Because I'm going to take another Bills receiver, and that will give us the receiver/flex that we need with the last pick. And I think if I go Love and Loveland, ironically enough, that would solve all of the needs.
But you don't have another flex, assuming that it's the San Francisco Buffalo Super Bowl. You would leave yourself with only 4 players.
Well, then San Francisco's an advanced piece then. Just look at it like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. With Loveland there, that's fine. So you're building out a Buffalo-Chicago Super Bowl.
Now, Bob, if it's Green Bay, I still have enough.
No, well, you need to get – if you're building out Buffalo-Green Bay, you need the Green Bay tight end too.
Oh, you're right. I wouldn't need the Green Bay tight end.
And then you need Dobbs, which you haven't built yet.
No, I don't need Dobbs. This roster has enough back-end tight end or receivers that are
But you have...
So about basically the question is, would you rather have Cooks or Dobbs? I'd rather have Cooks.
Remember, what I'm saying is if you're building Green Bay Buffalo, you don't have enough Green Bay wide receivers or Buffalo wide receivers to field a full lineup.
I'm okay if I don't have a full lineup.
You need a full lineup. You're not okay. You need a full lineup. So Dobbs is the better advanced piece because he has the chance to outscore some players in the league.
Not if Cooks becomes the guy.
Take Cooks. I'm fine with Cooks. You need the Buffalo player. Taking Cooks here is fine. I'm okay with that because that's a piece on Buffalo. Okay? So if you take them there, you have Josh Allen, James Cook, Christian Watson, Brandon Cooks. You need a Buffalo tight end if that's going to work, or you need the Green Bay tight end. You need to take a low-owned piece like Knox, or I think Knox is your better piece. While he's not going to really get you a lot of points in the first week, he can be an important Super Bowl piece if Buffalo makes it there.
And he's a third tight end, so yeah. So my receiving room.
I don't love taking tight ends, but I mean,
I don't either. But if I look at the receiving room,
there goes Dobbs. Love
I'm
already
taking
went.
Knox, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But you see how he built that back end Packers stack to go with his. So his is Packers Jacksonville with some advanced pieces in there with Chicago.
Yeah,
which is wild. But I'm just trying to make sure you have a full lineup going into.
Yeah, I only have one quarterback. I mean, it's all Buffalo dependent.
But that's what I say is that you have a chance. Again, we were shitting on Josh Allen earlier about not wanting to take Josh Allen, but
you shouldn't be able to get Josh Allen and Cook.
He fell. And what you've done is you've built out three.
I think about three possibilities.
3 possible Super Bowls. While they're not all, I don't think you built out enough San Francisco actually to get you.
With San Francisco, I would only need.
You would only have 4
correctly. So let's build out the roster. So here's the Bills that we have: Allen, Cook, Kincaid, and Cooks.
You don't have Kincaid. You have Knox.
Sorry, I have Knox. So I only need a receiver and a flex from any other respective team. So in San Francisco, I got Kittle and Jennings. That's enough. Fair. In Green Bay, I got Jacobs and Green Bay might not be enough. But in Chicago, which is the best case scenario,
you have Jacobs and Watson, and that's
right. Yeah. So I have 3 legitimate Super Bowl combinations.
You do,
which is hard to do.
No, it's not hard to do, but you have arguably what could be the best quarterback option.
I also have the most likely Super Bowl that you can build here with Buffalo coming out of the AFC. I believe they're the most likely to do it.
They do. I mean, again, like they're a team that does need. I do think that some of their weaknesses. I don't know if a lot of teams on the AFC side are able to exploit it to the capacity that needs to be exploited, except for possibly Houston. The Houston matchup, I think if they match up against Houston, that could be pretty tough for them, to be honest with you.
I don't think when push comes to shove, I mean, Houston is probably the only one who could slow down Josh Allen. I think that this is going to become Big 12 football, and the Bills are going to walk in here and say, I'm putting up 70 on you.
But I think going after this, Joe, is that looking at this pod, knowing what you're facing in your pod, almost everybody stayed in a lane.
Pretty much.
Looking at it here, we have to our right.
That's how Kincaid fell as far as he did, because I wasn't
to our right. We have Philly and Chargers Super Bowl. So they built out a Philly and Chargers Super Bowl. Absolutely true. On the other end of us, we have a Rams Jags Super Bowl or a Jags Green Bay Super Bowl. That can happen. That's a good combination. To our left, we have a Seattle-Denver Super Bowl, which is possible. And I believe they also built out Houston pieces. Can you scroll down to see if they ended up getting Woody Marks on their team? Yeah, so they still have Sharps. They have Schultze. They have Barner. So they built out a Seattle-Houston Super Bowl and a Seattle-Denver Super Bowl. Interesting. And they could also get what? Yeah. Okay. And then the other team on the opposite side looks like they just have advance rate pieces. Team number 2 looks like they don't have a full lineup, but they have advance rate pieces. And team 1 took a heck of a lot of quarterbacks.
3 quarterbacks is a lot. No, great. 3 tight ends is a lot too.
And they took Derrick Henry early, assuming that. And notice, no Steelers went in this draft.
Nor should they.
Gainwell could be interesting as an advanced piece, potentially.
Gainwell's not going to be in the playoffs.
I'm just saying, if they do make it, it would be interesting.
What will that be? 10:30 on Sunday night. You are going to hear the best chanting city in America pulling off Fire Tomlin to infinity and beyond.
I mean, logistically speaking,
and I stand by best chanting city in America, people. You can throw down with that. No one does a ref you suck chant better than us. And that is 100% a hockey thing.
I don't know. Philly has a good chant.
Philly does too much. They're not consistent.
All right, Joe.
They got too many moving
parts. Do you want to rack up one more and see if we both can get in it here? Because
we got to do it on DraftKings, though. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's rack another $3 one up. Let's do another $3 one. Keep it in the cheap seats.
Keeping it in the cheap seats. All right, let me get it ready for it.
All
right, guys. So this is going to be the play action 20 entry max one, right, Bob?
Yeah, hold on. I am struggling to find things. Every time I make it small, there we go. Playoff best ball. All right, so we're doing the best ball 300K play action, right?
No, I'm not ready. Click the wrong button.
300K play action.
We are doing playoff best ball, the $3 300K play action, correct?
20 entry max, right?
Hold on a second, it's loading. Yeah, looks right.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
All right, enter, right?
Yep. All right, I have 3 out of 6.
I'm 4 out of 6. So
all right, so you're 4 out of 6. That sounds like it's probably the same one.
Legitimately,
anyone who's watching, you guys want to jump in?
Mick, we wanted to do an underdog one here, man. But the problem is that our computers are having a problem locating our location. Pittsburgh has like 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts right now, and both of our computers are not having us. We're going to try to load up some underdog this week.
We're going to do it Wednesday, guys. Long story short.
Yeah. When we go live on Wednesday, we're going to load up an underdog draft, and we're going to hopefully fix that. I got the number 1 pick here, Joe.
Oh, good for you.
Number 1 pick. Do we go Puka? I think we do.
I mean, if you don't, I do.
It's going to be an advance rate guy, though, I think, because I don't really know what we're going to get on the other side. Like I said, the Drake May, the Patriots, the most often one that I've seen is the Patriots-Rams one. Without
and I built that one in the first draft. You can't really hate on it.
Stafford. I think that one's interesting. It'd be fun to try to get a Rams Jags potentially. That's an interesting matchup to me. Still with this number 1 seed in the AFC, I just like it to be a little bit more clearer here who's going to have that number 1 pick. So if we go off
neither of them are clear. I mean, there's a chance it's the Niners, man.
Yeah. So the Patriots have a 34% chance to have the first round bye, and the Broncos have a 60% chance to get it.
Yeah, Denver's supposed to win.
Seahawks have a 55% chance, and the 49ers have a 45% chance. So that's interesting. All right, so we got Puka. We'll see what we can build off of that. Yeah, we appreciate it, Mick. Honestly, though, I was drafting on Underdog earlier on my computer earlier in the week, and I had no issues with it. I updated my locations and stuff like that, but we'll definitely do one. We'll load it up from our phones on Wednesday.
We'll figure out a way to make it same.
Hopefully there will still be some summits and mittens left that we can get into because it's.
Oh, they'll make new ones. We'll be doing mitten 2.
They haven't put out a lot of new ones recently, though. They finished up the little mitten. They finished up the way too early, and there hasn't been a lot. So I'm curious how these ones shake down where we have Josh Allen.
In the first round, and he didn't take Adams.
Well, this guy's going to take Adams, the Josh Allen guy. See, the problem with building Josh Allen without Cook, you can't – I don't know if you go wide receiver out here, because you don't have a running back. There you go. You get Barkley. All right, so that's cool. So this guy might go Adams, but he can't have the quarterbacks from either of them, so that would be an advance rate piece for him.
And there's nothing wrong with an advance. Ooh, taking Collins that early. Love it.
Mm-hmm. You got the advance rate. Adams kind of screwing me over there.
Again, I've said many times, you want to have the receivers early in this. That team we built with the Bills was a complete luxury and anomaly, but I like having the receivers. I mean, there's no way around it. I have not built any of them at all.
Would you say? Well, we got a Mondo San Francisco stack, so hopefully they get the bye.
Good for him.
Hopefully they get the bye, and we don't have to deal with it in this pod. Yeah, I've seen them occasionally, the Allen Cook on Underdog, just because San Francisco's getting pushed up and Stafford's kind of like normalizing, and Nico actually is getting pushed up higher than I think a lot of other teams. So this guy's got AJ Brown. I wonder if the Josh Allen guy takes Hurts and then coming out and getting Devonta Smith maybe, or if he leaves Hurts for the AJ Brown guy.
I don't see another quarterback going before Hurts would come around.
So you've opened yourself up to Sam Darnold and Bo Nix.
I sure did.
Which is smart.
Sure did.
I'm okay with that for you. That's interesting.
I've never built a Denver one.
There goes Trevor Lawrence. See, I think
that's a horrible build. The guy who's at the end spot there.
Well, he has a Super Bowl.
I see that, but I don't see how he's getting out of the wild card weekend.
You okay?
Yeah. I assume this has to be Hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you taking Nix on the turnaround or taking him here?
Taking Harvey here.
Smart, because you don't have a running back yet.
I do not have a running back yet. Yeah, to the left of us, the left half of this room is staying in their lane. We're kind of now established our lane and we're chilling in it. So you're going Packers on your other side. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think that guy could take Bo Nix just to spite you. I've seen that happen, and I hate that.
You always see spite. We live in a world of spite. Let's not fight anything here.
We do. But that Harvey pick was smart because he would have went Harvey if you didn't.
I think so.
I didn't get the tight end. I'm fine with that. Henry's great, but I could take a back end Austin Hooper and he'll perform potentially just as good. I am going to open the door for Ramondre, though. Do we know if Tyler Higbee's coming back, guys?
Even if he does?
Even if he does.
Like, do you want him?
Yeah, I kind of do. In a Super Bowl where I have Puka? Yeah.
See, we're still talking 6th round, man. You got to get there first.
Well, yeah, we got to get there, but it's fine. We'll get there.
I love this tight end run. These are all players that are going to be irrelevant. I love it.
You out.
I'm taking a running back on the next pick. The question is he in my stack or not?
All right, I got my next 2 players lined up. I'm going to stay in my lane. There's a couple of pieces that I like from Chicago that are still on the board right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing them. I'm taking Omarion or Kenneth. So there we go.
Ken Walker, yeah. I mean, with your JSN stack, I think you need to queue up sharps for the near future too.
Well, my next pick's Darnold.
Fair. I think you can wait on Darnold. I don't know. And again, is this my favorite one? Maybe not. We'll see what happens. I think QJ is going to be an interesting advanced piece. He can advance the team, but I don't know if he makes it out.
I think Henry's an interesting advanced piece.
Because I don't know if Drake May is going to get the bye, I am going to take a Jordan Love coming back, I think.
Well, that's why I took Darnold and Nix gets the bye. It's probable Nix gets the bye, which hurts this Denver build, by the way, getting out of the first round. There's a world here where I have both of the bye teams.
So here's a team that nobody's building, and it's fair. There's a team that nobody's building in a lot of drafts, and it's Carolina. Now, do I think Carolina makes it to the Super Bowl? No. But do I think that a piece from them could be an interesting advanced piece like a Ladd McConkey was last year? I do. It just depends on the matchup that they get. I mean, they got embarrassed a little bit by Seattle. But I'm curious to see how that falls personally. Are you taking Troy Franklin here? Maybe?
No.
Maybe.
I just panicked myself, and I'm going to backdoor into a different stack.
Don't forget about Barner. Don't forget about Barner.
I'm not forgetting about Barner, but here's the thing. If both these teams have a bye, I lost. If one of the teams have a bye, I need to have a way to survive the first round.
That's fair.
So I need to divest, and the team I'm divesting to is the Chargers. Now, granted, Ladd has gone games where he just doesn't get seen. But the only other Charger that got selected is the guy who's in the 4 hole. So I think that I can sneak these through 2 here. And if I miss out on Troy Franklin, I miss out on Troy Franklin. That's just kind of that's the cost of the insurance I'm buying.
All right, so we got 3 picks left. I don't really like taking Booty a lot because he doesn't get a lot of volume. We know that throughout the year, but we'll see. So we gotta get
so dirty having 3 quarterbacks.
You have 3 quarterbacks, yeah, that's gross. But I think that has a good chance.
You don't get out of it without a quarterback.
Yeah, you might not have any there, right?
Yeah, there's a chance.
Nice, Nick. Nice. Brock Purdy, Manny. I remember we were talking about that past 2 weeks. Before we went off from last week. Oh, you didn't get Sharps. You should have taken Sharps. I think Sharp's a better play than Ken Walker, to be honest with you, if you're expecting a Seattle Super Bowl.
Well, that play really will be Hardy anyway.
Fair. There's 3 rounds left. All right.
So yeah, 3 rounds left.
We're going to queue up Higbee. We're going to queue up another one. Queue up Scrave potentially. I just don't like him. Oh my God. Why does he have to suck?
Why are you whispering to yourself, Bob?
No, I'm just looking at tight ends because I realize I don't have a tight end yet. But I'm all right with that. I have 2 that I'm going to queue up here.
Tight ends are very gross right now. It's a gross way to live.
For real. It is. All right. So we want to get... I'm going to take him because we want this. We want a tight end. It's going to play. Don't forget about Gadsden if you built that back in,
I got my dudes. Might have taken Barner a little high, but that's because we're in a tight end hell.
No, I think Barner's a great pick, actually. I'm fine with that. I think he's good.
Yeah, no, the problem is if he gets the bye. I mean, the best case scenario for this lineup is the Niners get the bye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I regret that Booty pick. I should have just waited for Mac Hollins. I usually wait for Mac Hollins, and I didn't, and that was a disappointment. I should not have done that. Taking 2 quarterbacks because the Drake May, don't know if he's going to get that bye. That's a little rough. T. Ferg is interesting enough. Davis Allen. See, the problem with the Rams tight ends is they have like 4 of them that we've talked about every day. That they could show up and just end you. And I think all that said and done, that it's really something to be aware of. All right. We'll talk about this team that I made. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we'll see. I'm especially not a fan of the tight end position, but as you guys know, if I lose the 13 points on the tight end position, or if I lose 10 points on the tight end position, I think I can make it up in the other positions.
Yeah, it's hard to fight that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a little bit big brain, but if you're going Green Bay, it might not be a bad idea to also try to grab Malik Willis if you're going to late Green Bay in some of these, if they end up making it to the Super Bowl. And that's, again, it's all positing that they've got to make it to the Super Bowl. But 1-for-1 back end. I'm surprised you didn't take Gadsden with your back end Chargers.
Taking him right now.
BS. All right, good.
I mean, I'm exposed because I only got 2 backs. Like I said, very early on, this team loses if.
All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at these teams here that we've got. All right, so Joe, put it on. Can you make the roster position bigger so we can take a look at all 6 teams and see who we think potentially gets it out of the pod there?
So here's the roster of the first team.
All right. So we got Hurts, Cook, Nico, AJ, Goddard, Hampton. I love that. And he's got Sharps there too if this team advances out. He's got some really high point getters in terms of the wide receiver department because this is DK after all.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has a chance. Hurts could submarine him though because Hurts can absolutely get like 12 points, 15 points. But I think Cook, especially if Cook matches up against the Steelers or the Chargers, I think that Cook is going to have a great.
We can't match up against the Chargers, but
let's go down a little bit to see the rest of his pieces there, because he has 3 running backs, and that's pretty smart. So he has some back end Chicago pieces to advance too. Okay, bought in on the Philly. Here we got the mega San Francisco stack: Kittle, Pearsall, Jennings, McCaffrey.
Love that Henry on the back end.
Got a Derrick Henry, Hunter Henry. Go down, got Woody Marks, so it could be a San Francisco-Houston Super Bowl. Even took Jake Tongas and Demarcus Robinson. So he has if San Francisco makes it and this team continues to advance, he has almost all assets for San Francisco that you would want.
But if San Francisco gets the bye, he's not advancing.
If San Francisco gets the bye, yeah.
And that's the all-in you do here.
Yeah.
Him and I are doing the opposite side of that coin.
So Dublin, we've got Stafford, Kyron, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, Colby Parkinson, Blake Corum. So we obviously are going Rams, Jacksonville Super Bowl there with the Trevor Lawrence, Brenton Strange. I like that. I think that Jacksonville can score a lot of points. So I think that this team can make it out of the first round in this pod, knowing that you have a bunch of people that are getting points here. And then you just got a bunch of back end Jacksonville Rams guys. That's cool with me. I like it.
As long as Jacksonville holds on to the division. If they got to go to somewhere like New England, I don't like them at all.
Then we have Josh Allen, Barkley, Smith, Shakir. I think that those Chicago pieces, like when you build out Buffalo and Philly, I think getting those Chicago pieces is really important because Chicago can score points, and there are times where Buffalo and Philly cannot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way you advance Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts is buying a little bit Chicago, or a little bit of Jacksonville as well. So he's got potentially a Buffalo Eagles Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he's got Buffalo Bears.
He's got Buffalo Bears, and he's got Bears Jacksonville as well.
He only has one quarterback. It's only Buffalo and whoever.
I thought he had Caleb. Okay,
nope.
So yeah, it's
he's
just Buffalo.
He's only got Allen.
All right, that's fine.
It's limiting your potential here. And then here's mine.
You've got Denver, Seattle. Okay, so you've got Denver, Seattle. Cool.
And Chargers.
You've got a back end Chargers. So you have Seattle, Chargers.
Seattle, Denver.
Okay, I like that. And I don't think mine makes it out of here. I've got New England with some Rams and New England with some Packers. Had to take some dirty Luke Musgrave and Tyler Higbee in there. I think the tight end will submarine me in this one. But having those assets, if it's New England, I've got May, Henderson, Diggs, Stevenson, Booty. So I can fill almost a complete lineup with just New England. Getting the Packers there. I took Jordan Love instead of taking the extra asset at wide receiver. because you don't know if New England's going to get the bye or not. So I had to take that extra asset at quarterback instead of putting it.
You know what this really is kind of indicating, and this is something that, I lean into. I obviously didn't do it in this one because of my fear of the buys, is that I think that for your first 5-6 picks, you just go whoever. Because if everyone, you see in this draft, this is very common for many drafts. People are all stacked upon one team or another. Well, what happens if that's a dead game and you are shotgunned across the league? You're the guy who advances out of the 10-man pod.
Joe, like I said at the top of the show, and I want to get to Mick's comment here, but like I said at the top of the show, there are two things to keep in mind. One is advancing out of the first round. Obviously, if you can't advance out of the first round, you can't make it to the Super Bowl.
That's true.
Then everything else in between, you want to build your teams for wild card, and you want to be able to have 5 live guys for the Super Bowl, because that is your best chance of winning money. Theoretically, you are not going to break even if you were to pass the wild card round. We've seen this last year where we made it and we advanced a bunch of teams out of the first round, but then we got shellacked because a lot of those teams, because Jane Daniels overperformed the week 1, but then, obviously didn't make it past. And we were talking about that. But I think that's the thing to keep in mind here, is that when we look at our teams, I agree with you to a point where taking the best available talent for that, what's left there is a good plan. Yeah. But again, we have seen talent like that fail as well, where, like, example, yesterday we had Houston, right? Or Saturday we had Houston. Nico Collins laid a proverbial egg. Jaden Higgins and Noel fed. There's always a chance that the big top guy isn't going to do it. And that's why you want to always have the 5 live guys for the Super Bowl. Whoever you'd like to manage within that, it's fine. And that's why I think it's not terrible to, let's say you're building out the Green Bay and you take Luke Musgrave, or you're building out the Rams and you don't take Colby Parkinson, but you take Terrence Ferguson. Yeah, it could be a 0 for you either way, but also taking Nico, if Houston doesn't advance, is a 0 as well.
Well, that's the thing. And this is what we said, pod luck matters.
Absolutely, AS. Drop it in there. Mick, thoughts on this one? Like I said earlier, I really don't like going heavy Buffalo, because when heavy Buffalo happens, it's usually heavy because of Allen and Cook. Allen and Cook are most often the 2 guys that overperform to expectations. Shakir can absolutely do something, but it is just as likely Shakir gets under 10 points as Josh Allen gets like 30 points.
Yep, and that's why I'm very adamant about
Allen doesn't. Shakir. If I was building this, Mick, I would have rather have had, instead of Palmer, I would have rather threw the back end Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
We know Keon Coleman's a non-factor, so I don't really want to build him out. But what I like that you did here is you built out some of those Packers, and you built out some of those Chicago players, like Luther Burns. So you keep yourself live because you have all of these Buffalo players. Getting a late round Burn opens you up to a Buffalo Chicago Super Bowl. And while you don't necessarily have the best asset potentially in that Super Bowl matchup, because DeAndre Swift should probably be that best matchup if you think that's the matchup.
And the argument is yes, we get it. You build the Bills for the Super Bowl, but if you do a hybrid approach where you just have Cook and Allen and you connect it with,
but to this end too, Joe,
you're going to get Devontae. But say you connect it with like a Jennings and a Kittle, you're in a much stronger position in said Super Bowl than having all the Bills.
But to this end too, what I want to say about the Bills before we get to AS's question is that I don't mind a mega stack of any team, to be quite honest with you, because it posits that team is going to make the Super Bowl.
I mind it if you used 4 of your first 6 picks on it.
I much rather would
like
have
it much more a little early, a lot late.
I much rather would have it though with a team that is just as likely to make it as Buffalo is potentially, with a Houston potentially. If I can get a Nico and then build in Jaden Higgins, Noel, Kirk, Woody Marks, etc., I get this. This is the point though, and I like that you said this, Mick, is that this is a team that may not advance, but if it advances to the Super Bowl and the Buffalo Bills are in, and you can say this about any stack. You can say this about a mega Chicago. You can say it's about a mega
it doesn't matter
Seattle. It doesn't matter what that team specifically is. Having the equity, right? Having the equity matters. And there is not often, and this is why I'm saying that the Mega Bills is not bad for this example, is that in this example, there are so many hybrids that there is going to be maybe, if Buffalo makes it to the Super Bowl, there is maybe going to be, out of all the remaining teams, 10% or less of teams that have both Allen and Cook.
Oh, yeah.
So having the mega stack of Buffalo, because it's such a hard stack to get, similar to the Puka Devontae Adams Stafford stack, or even not even the Devontae Adams, the Puka Kyron Stafford or the Puka Devontae Stafford stack, if you're catching my drift, that of getting that one to the Super Bowl, it's not going to be hard to get it there, but depending on that combination, you're going to see a lot of variance in that combination. You're going to see Matt Stafford with Devontae. You're going to see Matt Stafford with Puka. So what's going to be the piece that actually makes the difference there? And it might be James Cook, right? If you went Puka, James Cook, Stafford, or something like that, or Devontae Adams, Cook, and then you were able to pull Stafford somewhere else, it's an interesting combination. What I'm saying is that when you have the chance to mega Buffalo, I often will think about mega in Buffalo. You saw when we did have the chance at that, Joe didn't take it, and it's fair, but his team can advance a lot of pieces, and it gives us a couple Super Bowls. I'm down with 12.68 with Bijan in London versus Puka. This is going to be a sweat show for you, AS.
Yes,
but I do think that you have a legitimate chance here. Bijan has a legit chance to put up 20 to 27 points in this matchup.
And so does Puka. To me, this really comes down to,
it really comes down to London
score 14.
Really comes down to London. I think depending on, so AS, I do think you have a legit shot at that. I think that covering the 12.68 against Puka in a PPR league would be rough, but I do think Bijan gets you the 12.68. Then you're going to also need Bijan to get more, and London and Bijan together to cover the rest of what Puka scores. So Mick, with this comment here, I do think that the Josh Allen, Cook, and Jacobs is rare because most people, once they have Josh Allen and Cook, are not going to position themselves into Jacobs. They're going to want to go after those wide receivers like Shakir, and they're going to want to get the Dalton Kincaids. To get Jacobs that late, if it ends up being a Green Bay Buffalo Super Bowl, is going to be the piece, because if this happens to be the Super Bowl, those are the three guys that are most likely to score the most points in that matchup, and that's who you want, right? And then a back end Luke Musgrave or whatever, sacrificing the Dalton Kincaid is fine. But let's say the Eagles make it, right? And it's Eagles versus Jaguars. Is Saquon Barkley going to be the best player in that matchup? I don't think so. So
AS, to answer your question about what side would I rather be on of up 12.6 with Puka versus Bijan.
I'd rather be on the Puka plus 12. I'd rather be on the Puka plus 12, to be honest with you. But in a half PPR, that changes things, because Bijan can absolutely get to a score of Puka's reception total. But giving him the 12.68 with Puka, I think is a rough slit. So,
I just think London implodes.
12.64. So I think you legitimately have a chance, because I do think that London, to the question that was asked earlier about being down 7 with London, I do think it's possible that London in a half PPR league gets 12 points tonight, assuming health and everything, and he's playing. When we look at the projections, Joe, let me just look up the projections here for AS real quick, because I know we didn't do projections for anything today.
No, it was Christmas.
But when I look at the game here, when we look at the Rams Atlanta, it is what we're looking at projection wise is Bijan around 20. And like I said, I think that it's very possible he gets up there at like 27. Puka's sitting around 20 itself, and Drake London's sitting around 15. So you can absolutely, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a sweat. It's going to be a nail biter. And there's a chance, there's a chance you win by 3. There's a chance that he wins by 0.5. And it really is going to come down. It's really going to come down to how much work Drake London gets. Because last week he got 7 targets in that matchup, 3 receptions. But that 7 targets is nice because that's going back to his average that he was getting. If they can get him up to 10 targets and you get, say you get 4 for 60, that sucks. You don't win if that happens, but say he gets 4 for 60 with a touchdown. It's a good matchup for him. It's likely that something like that happens, but Puka has not scored in a full PPR, Joe, less than 20 points all season since the New Orleans game, right?
Yeah, that's the point.
So like he's kind of locked in for 20. You're given 12, so you need to score 32, or you need to score 33 off the rip.
Again, this all comes down to you need London to show up, and I don't know if you're getting it.
I think it's possible. I'm hoping for you, Ace. And when you come back on Wednesday, you can let us know if you want or not. We'll be rooting for you for sure. All right, guys. So we are going to be back on Wednesday at 3:45. I think that is New Year's Eve. So
that is right.
That's New Year's Eve. So we might come at you a little bit earlier. Potentially. Atlanta should have Terrell on him right now. That's fair, but Puka is one of those wide receivers like Jamar Chase, where it only matters a little bit who's on him. He's gonna get points, especially with Devontae Adams being back and healthy potentially there. My question is, this is the big question, is that when we look at this matchup specifically on paper, it doesn't really mean anything to the Rams as much.
Rams have a chance of the 1 seed. They need help, but they have a chance.
They need help, but
But what it really gets to the Rams is it gets them the 5 seed to go to the South, and there's a lot of value in that.
There's a lot of value in going and playing either Tampa or Bryce Young. So we'll be back 3:45 on Wednesday, maybe a little bit earlier to get into the festivities a little bit earlier. But we'll keep our head on a swivel for that. We're glad to see that lots of you were champions. If you made it into the championship, leave a comment, leave a post, like, follow, subscribe. You can tell your friends, but then you'd be losing that advantage. So keep that in mind as well.
But we're here for all the best balls and megas throughout all that season.
But for the rest of it,
just so you know, our personal best win rate was the pre-draft ones. We crushed that. We did all right in the Mega Millions, but we crushed the pre-draft ones.
And we're gonna,
like I said, the NFL draft.
And when you look at it, and you look at the top guys, and you look at everything that swung down, we'll take a look over the course of the next couple of weeks. And keep in mind, once the playoffs start, I think it's about somewhere in the divisional round that they start racking up the best balls for next year. Yep, and so when that happens, we're going to let it rip, and we're going to be drafting a whole lot of Rashee Rice, because that's what I want. We're going to be drafting a whole lot of Puka, a whole lot of Rashee Rice, a little bit of Travion and RJ Harvey in there because they look pretty good when they get the chance to play. So I think that we'll have a lot of fun. So going into the playoffs, we're going to keep bringing that content to you. So we'll see you New Year's Eve, 3:45 or earlier. Stay tuned, like, follow, subscribe, so you know when we're going on. And congrats and good luck to everybody tonight.
See you guys.